The fact that you're watching this video tells me one thing. Your English is pretty good, but for whatever reason, you don't feel as confident as you'd like in conversation. Why is that? Well, let me tell you. I've been coaching accent reduction courses for over 10 years to thousands of people ever since I got my master's degree in voice. And for every single student, there are 3 lessons that make a huge difference, enabling you to reduce your accent, be understood in every conversation, and speak English with more confidence. And what's more, they are so simple and you can use them immediately. So in this video, you're going to learn these 3 lessons. Now, if you haven't got time to watch this, just click the link above and download the free handout and some free online classes that will break down this content into much more detail. But let's get started on these 3 lessons. Now, I call them the 3 core foundations of accent reduction, which can be summarized in just one word, which I'll tell you more about in a moment. So here's core foundation number 1, and I call it the Song of English. Just before I share this with you, you don't need to write any of this down because it's all in a free handout, which I'll tell you how to download in a minute. Now, you probably know that in English, we stress some parts of words, which are known as syllables, but not others. But most people who speak English as a second language don't know how to stress those parts of words, and it couldn't be simpler. You simply speak with a higher pitch on stressed syllables and a lower pitch on unstressed syllables. So copy me. Low, high. About. High, low. People. You see, it's a musical thing. It's like a song, right? When one of my students, Rennie, learnt this lesson, she went from hating public speaking and presentations to being one of the best in her team, because after she used it, her boss said that she was fantastic and that she was the clearest that she'd ever been, which she did not expect. Now, I'm sure you'd love to know the patterns that you can follow to know which syllables should be stressed and unstressed, which I'll tell you more about in a moment. So let's have a look at core foundation number 2, which I call Mountain Peaks and Silent Valleys. You may have noticed how native speakers tend to chop up their sentences into easily understandable pieces, which helps people to follow what they say more easily. Now, this is how they do it. They speak for about 3 to 8 words, followed by a little pause. The technical name for this is a tone unit, which you don't need to remember. I tend to refer to it as a chunk of speech. And in this chunk, there is one word that is the most important. The technical name for this is a tonic syllable, but just think of it as an important word, usually a verb or a noun or an adjective. But I'll talk to you more about this in a moment. So if I repeat what I just said, you'll hear me using this. In a chunk of speech, there is one word that is most important. In a chunk of speech, there is one word that is most important. Can you hear that? So the mountain peak is the important word, and the silent valley is the tiny pause in between each chunk of speech. In a chunk of speech, there is one word that is really important. Now, did you also spot how I was using a higher pitch on the important word? So core foundation 1 links to core foundation 2, and between them, you'll start to sound much more like a native. So here's the last core foundation, number 3, and I call it the resting rhythm. Do this. Can you feel your heartbeat? If you can't, then you need to go to your doctors. But if you can, then it's this rhythm, de-dum, 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 which you can hear in almost every English sentence. It's in almost everything we say. For example, I've got to go to work. Dum-de-dum, de-dum. I'll be back at 8. Dum-de-dum, de-dum. Are you coming to the pub? Dum-de-dum, de-dum, de-dum. Can you hear that? It's what I call the resting rhythm. It's like a heartbeat. It varies, but it's at the core, the heart of English. Now, native speakers don't even know that they do this, so this is a real secret that you now know. Now, there is a special vowel sound that can help you with this resting rhythm, but I'll tell you more about that in a second. So if you're searching for pronunciation or accent reduction courses, make sure that they include these core foundations. And as I said earlier, these core foundations can be summarized by one word, which is intonation, which covers everything to do with the song of English, word stress, phrasing, and rhythm. Now, the core foundations are just a small part of what I cover in a brand new accent reduction course that we're launching soon. But if you want to get that free handout and you want to get into much more detail about these core foundations and you want those extra lessons I spoke about, like the syllable stress rhythms and the patterns for knowing which word to stress in a chunk of speech, and also that special vowel sound to help you with the resting rhythm, then why don't you join me for a free and interactive class where I can answer your questions and I go into much more detail about these core foundations. It's completely free and interactive, so before you watch another pronunciation video, make sure that you click on the link above or in the description box below to go to our website. Fill in your name and your email address and we'll send you all the information you need about how to get hold of that free handout and to join these free classes. So I really hope to see you there.